Converting groups is one of those tasks that you normally only hear about on exams, and this one has historically popped up on the exam. So I'm going to point it out here and just kind of arm you with this information, because honestly, this is not something you do a whole lot in the real world. At least it hasn't been my experience or any of the administrators that I talked to. Now, it may have happened in your world. If it did, or if it does regularly, email me and let me know why you're doing this. It'd be kind of interesting to hear. But I just want you to know that it is possible to make changes to a group once it has been created. You can change the group type, and you can change the scope of the group as well. Now, to do this, you will have to be a member of the account operators or domain admins or enterprise admins. And the best way to understand this really is just to jump out into the Active Directory users and computers tool and take a look. Now I'm going to show you a couple of shortcuts. First of all, there's a really cool shortcut. If I go to the Start menu and I just press the Windows key to jump right to the Start menu in Windows Server 2012, and without typing or touching anything else, just type the word Run, and it automatically does a search, and you notice it found it right here. So I can click on it, and there is my run bar. So that's a cool little shortcut to the run bar. And notice I've put in there dsa.msc. That is the command to open Active Directory users and computers. And there it is. Now keep in mind, we can get to the same place. Let me close this, show you a couple little things here while we're here. I'll open Server Manager, and I can go to ADDS once I've got it installed and running. This is a domain controller. And right here on the name of my server and this information about it, I can just right click, and notice I can get to a lot of places, including the NTDS utility we'll talk about later in a separate video. But I can open Active Directory users and computers here, or, and I'll just click out here to close that, I can always go to Tools and I can get it here. It all takes me to the same place. So choose whichever one you like best. Now, to see a group or to create a group, if I just click on my domain here, these are all the various containers that are out there. Here are my users. And then here's my sales group that I created. Now, I'll create a new group. I can just right click here and say New, choose Group, and we will create the executive group. And notice I choose whether it's going to be a domain local group, a global group, or universal in the scope, and then the type, security or distribution. I just say OK. And you can see I have an executive security group and a sales security group. Now, if I right click on the sales and go to properties, you'll notice right down here in the group scope section, I can change the scope of the group from global to universal. And when I click apply, it will either give me some sort of warning or informational thing, or it'll just make the change. Now, notice that when I go from security on the type, from security to distribution and apply, it's telling me, hey, wait a minute, fella. You don't see the word fella in there, but you are converting a security group to a distribution. And if this group is used to grant or deny permissions on network resources, members of the group may lose access or gain undesired access. Are you sure you want to continue? Well, they've scared me. No, I don't want to continue. So I'll just go back to security. So it is possible to change these. Let me warn you, it can really create havoc in your network if you don't think this process through, because if you've already got your permissions and your group structure set up, changing the scope or the type of one of these groups can make some pretty intense changes to your permissions. So just want you to know it is possible to change the group type and the scope after it's created. It's kind of rare you do it in the real world, but depending on your situation, you could be doing this quite a bit. And you could see this on the exam, and it's just one of those things that you wonder when you see the question, wow, can you really do that? And the answer is yes.